Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into it. We're trying to cut through all the noise, all the hype to figure out how some of these huge digital creators actually manufacture mass virality. And our focus today is, well, it's the extreme architecture of digital fame. We're looking closely at sources detailing the content formula, the stunts, which are often just completely ridiculous, and yeah, the controversy surrounding probably the biggest name in the hype challenge game, Mr. Pig.
Or Zebediah Flump, yes.
The Dia Flump, exactly.
And our goal here really is to look past just the entertainment of these stunts. We want to analyze the cold, hard strategy behind them.
Right.
We're digging into the sources that kind of lay out this Mr. Pig formula. It's not just about watching someone with a lot of money do crazy things.
Right.
It's about understanding the engine, the machine that drives this content that's purely engineered for maximum shares, doesn't matter how much it costs, or if you can even believe it, or, frankly, if it's remotely sane.
And the scale, I mean, we have to start there, don't we? The sheer scale tells you immediately that we're not exactly dealing with reality here.
Not even close.
Mr. Pig just dominates this space. The sources are clear. His channel's success is built, like, entirely on what they keep calling hype nonsense.
Yeah, that term comes up a lot.
Over-the-top challenges and just this brazen performance of unbelievable wealth.
And the first number, the one that just jumps out immediately, it confirms that the whole thing exists in this kind of manufactured reality bubble. The sources state his channel claims, wait for it, 20 billion subscribers.
20 billion. You just have to pause there, right? Because that number, it's like the mission statement for the whole channel.
It really is. And the source points this out directly. That number is more than double the entire population of Earth.
More than double.
So that sets the tone for everything else we're going to talk about. It's such an insane hyperbole, it's mathematically impossible, that the number itself stops being about success. It becomes, like you said, a kind of performance art. It's a signal to the audience straight away. Don't bother fact-checking.
Right. Forget facts.
What matters is the frenzy, the visual impact, the sheer audacity of claiming something so outrageous.
The absurdity is the point. It's the value. Okay, so if we accept that Mr. Pig's world is built on this foundation of impossible exaggeration, what are the actual pieces? What are the deliberate things he does to drive this, high-octane content machine?
Yeah, what's the formula?
How does Zebediah Flump manage to turn basic life events, and we'll get into this, even humanitarian aid, into these perfectly optimized viral spectacles? Let's unpack that core formula. Okay, let's dig in. Starting with the basic strategy, the thing that seems to govern every single video. Prioritize spectacle. Prioritize frenzy. Forget about genuine complexity or, lasting humor. The source material makes it very clear that the whole structure is built on engineered drama and just constantly showing off resources.
Yeah, the foundation is absolutely scale. He doesn't just make videos. He's actively cultivating this persona, right? The billionaire chaos agent.
Billionaire chaos agent. I like that.
And the wealth isn't just in the background. It's basically the main character of the show. The challenges, they're not meant to be subtle or smart. They have to be huge, physically massive. They have to be logistically absurd, almost impossible. And they always have to require enormous visible budgets. The budget itself is like the main special effect.
And the cost, the sheer amount of money, that's part of the video too, isn't it? It's not enough just to have the money.
No, you have to show it being spent. Or better yet, destroyed.
Right. Visibly, unnecessarily destroying the money. We're talking like custom-built stuff, one-offs, exotic locations that are super hard to get to, and maybe the biggest telly, deliberately wrecking expensive things on camera.
Yeah.
Like, that's just part of the routine.
It's baked into the production cycle.
Yeah. The audience constantly gets reminded that the stakes, and just the fact that video even exists, depends on this insane amount of money.
And the destruction, it kind of functions as proof, doesn't it? Like, undeniable proof of commitment. If Mr. Pig is willing to literally burn or smash something worth $500,000,
right,
the viewer sort of implicitly trusts that the whole production value must be massive too. You see this philosophy really clearly in the recurring segment he does, the $1 million bet.
Yes. Okay, break that one down for us, because that really nails the whole cost as content idea.
Okay, so the $1 million bet, it's a series where Mr. Pig and his crew, they do these high stakes, usually really silly competitions.
Like what?
Oh, who can eat the weirdest food, or who can drive some crazy vehicle the longest, or build the biggest sandcastle, whatever. But the key part, according to the analysis we looked at, is that loss is basically guaranteed.
Guaranteed loss.
Yes. These competitions almost always end up with expensive property getting damaged. And crucially, this damage isn't an accident. It's planned. It's budgeted for. It's filmed specifically because it's going to happen.
So wrecking the expensive gear isn't a blooper. It's the highlight reel. It's the premium content.
Exactly. It's the guaranteed payoff for the segment. If they drop $1 million on some ridiculous machine for a challenge, they've already calculated the visual currency they'll get when that machine inevitably gets destroyed.
Wow.
It's a business model where, guaranteed visual loss is treated like a marketing expense. The spectacle of the destruction confirms how much money is involved. It's immediate proof that this isn't your average YouTube video.
It's the ultimate flex, isn't it? We have so much money we can afford not just to buy things, but to literally throw them away, smash them up, just for clicks.
Precisely.
But okay, big budgets and expensive destruction that grabs attention, sure. But it's probably not enough on its own to keep people watching for long. You need pacing, right?
Right.
Manufactured drama.
Absolutely. And sources really hammer this point home. The post-production, the editing, it's just as critical as the initial concept, maybe even more so.
Okay.
What's really fascinating here is the editing strategy. Some sources call it the addiction model. The raw footage might actually be pretty simple, pretty boring even.
Right.
But the editing turns it into this sensory assault weapon. The sources describe the content as being just relentlessly paced, aggressively edited.
What does aggressive editing actually mean in practice for someone like Mr. Pig? What does that look like?
Well, it's basically refusing to ever let the viewer rest. Like
Okay.
there's absolutely no downtime, no moment for reflection. Every few seconds, something has to change, some new stimulus.
Okay.
They use intense sound effects that aren't actually part of the scene, whooshes, bangs, sirens, weird high-pitched noises. And then exaggerated visuals, graphical overlays popping up, huge jarring zooms, quick cuts, like multiple cuts every single second. The goal is to transform a simple idea, like say, staying in a box, into this frantic, high-stakes saga.
It sounds exhausting.
It is. It creates this state of constant emotional overload. And it effectively trains the audience, doesn't it? It trains them to expect, maybe even crave, that constant stimulation.
So it sounds like they're basically designing the content by working backward from what the algorithm wants.
What's a great way to put it? They're absolutely targeting specific algorithmic triggers, especially click-through rate, getting you to click the thumbnail, and maximizing how often it gets shared.
Right.
And Mr. Pig himself, his performance is key to this. He specializes in these really dramatic, often totally over-the-top reactions.
Give me like...
Everything. Faking injuries, pretending to be massively outraged about something trivial, acting like he's in complete distress.
And the sources say this isn't just him being a bad actor, it's strategic.
Oh, completely tactical. Why do it? Because that intense, exaggerated emotion, especially on his face, guarantees that every single thumbnail image and every short clip they pull out for social media,
Which is crucial these days.
yeah,
Is optimized for maximum clickbait potential. A picture of someone looking totally distressed or shocked gets way more clicks, way more curiosity than someone looking calm and successful.
makes sense.
The drama is literally engineered backward from the need to get that click, get that share.
Okay, so this relentless need for engineered drama, even when maybe nothing dramatic is happening, that brings us to probably the weirdest, most surreal part of his whole setup. This device that lets him create conflict instantly, even if he's totally alone on screen. The sources call it the Piggy element.
Yes, Piggy. The origin story itself is just, it's the perfect kind of deep absurdity that this brand needs, isn't it?
Totally.
Mr. Pig, Zebediah Flump, he claims he named himself after his wife, Piggy, who is, well, invisible to everyone except him.
Right. His claim, which he apparently never breaks character on, is, only I can see Piggy and she is my wife.
Yeah.
It just hangs there in this weird space. Like, is it a mental health thing? Is it a performance art piece? A really long-running joke?
Does it matter? Well, functionally, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because as a content device, it's kind of brilliant, isn't it?
We have to look at how it functions within the videos.
Wow.
This invisible wife, Piggy, she provides this endless, organic source of conflict that he can just pull out of thin air whenever he wants.
Right.
If there's a slow moment in a stunt, or if he needs a reason to suddenly do something irrational, bam! Start an argument with Piggy.
It's a self-contained drama generator. Needs no external input.
Exactly. Limitless.
And the effect on screen is instant confusion, right? Which
Yes.
translates directly into shares and comments. Mr. Pig having these frantic one-sided arguments with someone nobody else can see.
While the crew just stands there looking bewildered.
Yeah. It generates immediate visible confusion for the audience and, crucially, for anyone else actually in the shot with him.
And the psychological hook there is just masterful. That ambiguity keeps people watching. They're constantly asking, is this real? Is he actually losing it? What did Piggy supposedly just say? It creates this whole extra layer, this meta story, that drives huge engagement in the comments. People are always trying to solve the mystery of the invisible wife,
Right.
which, of course, you can't solve.
Because it's likely not real.
Probably not. But the viewer knows it's probably manufactured, yet they get drawn into the performance of the lie.
Yeah.
And that gives the channel incredible sticking power.
Okay, so if he's willing to deploy that level of, like, psychological weirdness for content, it does make you wonder how far he'll push things physically. So let's shift from the manufactured drama of Piggy to something very real, very physical. A test of endurance that became one of his most infamous videos. Right. Frankly, one of the most nauseating.
Yeah.
The Great Litter Box Challenge. This seems like a perfect case study for how that formula scale plus spectacle gets applied to a longer, sustained series.
Yeah, this challenge really pushes the boundaries of, well, content sacrifice. It's basically asking how much misery can one creator film themselves enduring?
And how much will people watch?
Exactly. The title itself is pure optimized clickbait. 100 days in a giant stinky litter box with 1,000 cats. They hated me.
Just the title makes you feel vaguely ill.
The whole premise is engineered for guaranteed misery. That's the point.
So the scale, again, classic Mr. Pig. He built this absolutely enormous litter box, specifically designed, the sources say, to never be cleaned.
Never cleaned. Key detail.
And then he tried to live inside it for 100 days. With 1,000 cats. The whole idea is just a sensory nightmare from day one.
And that sensory nightmare was the content goal. It wasn't just about surviving. It was about documenting the escalating, unavoidable filth and degradation. And the sources document the big finale, or rather the lack of one. The challenge didn't make it to the full 100 days.
Right. It ended early.
Ended abruptly after just 51 days.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the formula demands even failure has to be spectacular. Would it actually have been less valuable content if you'd somehow succeeded and just quietly finished the 100 days?
That's the fascinating part. According to the sources, yes, quiet success would have been an anticlimax. It wouldn't have fit the narrative. The failure, however, that was almost a required plot point. Mr. Pig was forced to fail, quote unquote, because he apparently just couldn't physically take it anymore. The stench, the toxic conditions from, the waste of 1,000 cats piling up for 51 days.
Oh my God.
It had apparently become genuinely dangerous to his health.
I mean, I can't even begin to imagine the sheer physical suffering involved in that, filmed over nearly 2 months.
But that suffering, right, documenting that physical and psychological breakdown, that was the climax they needed. The source notes are clear. The dramatic, almost theatrical breakdown caused by the stench, that was essential. It provided the big, emotional, high-stakes ending that guaranteed the final episode pulled in record views.
Wow.
It wasn't the survival that got the views. It was a painful, very visible, very emotional collapse that maximized the content's value. The formula demands that even failing the stunt has to be cinematic gold.
So, okay, if Mr. Pig is willing to subject his own body to that level of, frankly, toxic hazard and misery for content, what limits does he have when it comes to involving other people, especially people in really vulnerable situations?
That's the pivot, isn't it?
And that brings us to the next stage, maybe the most cynical application of this whole formula.
Right.
We've done the manufactured drama with Piggy, the extreme physical endurance, the billionaire spending spree. Now, this is where it gets, I think, really interesting. We have to look at how genuine goodwill, how charity gets leveraged for content. How does Mr. Pig approach philanthropy? Because the sources strongly suggest it's not really about helping people. It's about farming content.
Yeah, if you connect this to the bigger picture, this feels like the ultimate, maybe the most cynical use of the Mr. Pig playbook. You take something that's inherently good, like helping others,
Right.
and you convert it entirely into high-quality, high-stakes video content. The source material is pretty blunt about this. Mr. Pig seems to view humanitarian aid not as, pure charity, but specifically as a tool. A mechanism for getting maximum exposure and maximum content value.
So the focus just completely shifts then. The spectacle of the delivery, the logistics, the drama surrounding the aid itself, that becomes the main character in the video.
Exactly.
Not the actual practical long-term needs of the people who are supposed to be receiving the help.
Precisely. The sources highlight how the channel uses its huge wealth and, let's face it, impressive logistical power to stage these spectacular giving challenges. But the explicit goal, it seems, is always making sure the act of giving generates the most possible views.
We're watching the performance of charity.
Yes. The good deed itself feels almost secondary to the performance of doing the deed. And the more visibly difficult or expensive the logistics are, the higher the potential viral payoff.
Okay, let's look at a specific example the sources focus on. The 2020 St. Luke Island delivery. This was after Hurricane Yippee, right? A multi-part series.
Yeah.
Required huge resources.
Yeah, the documentation for this was extensive. It was clearly designed from the start to be a multi-episode saga. The content showed Mr. Pig personally delivering, get this, 1 million rolls of toilet paper.
1 million rolls of toilet paper.
To victims of a major hurricane on St. Luke Island.
In a disaster zone, where people presumably need food, clean water, medicine, shelter.
Right.
The choice of aid itself feels deliberately absurd.
Well, think about it through the content lens. That choice is deliberate, isn't it? It's visually massive. Imagine 1 million rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah, okay.
It's logistically a nightmare, which creates drama, and as primary aid, it's borderline useless, which guarantees attention and controversy. But more importantly, the video narrative focused heavily on what the source calls a manufactured logistical crisis. Meaning the story wasn't really about the hurricane victims. It was about the heroic, dramatic, almost impossible efforts Mr. Pig and his team had to undertake just to transport and then offload 1 million rolls of paper.
The drama was about the journey of the toilet paper.
Exactly. Not the utility of the toilet paper for the people on the ground.
So they're maximizing the effort of the delivery, not the impact. And the end of this charitable mission, it was arguably the most explosive stunt of his whole career, wasn't it? Designed for maximum media hype, maximum speculation.
Oh, absolutely. This is peak spectacle over substance.
Yeah.
Mr. Pig's exit from the island was so dramatic, it bordered on just, well, reckless.
What did he do?
He jumped out of the cargo plane via parachute alongside the final bundles of toilet paper as they were being dropped.
He parachuted out with the toilet paper.
Yes, a completely unnecessary, self-endangering move that guaranteed a camera angle nobody else could get.
Wow. And the sources say the immediate aftermath on the ground got pretty chaotic, turned the whole thing from charity into like an escape movie.
That's exactly right. Upon landing, apparently, an angry mob of locals who, might have been expecting something a bit more useful than toilet paper after a hurricane.
Understandable.
They attacked him. The sources state they chased him directly into the dense jungle nearby.
So let me get this straight. His huge, expensive, high-profile charitable donation ends with the philanthropist himself being chased into the jungle by an angry mob.
That's the narrative presented.
That's not just content, that's a real-life, high-stakes cliffhanger.
And that cliffhanger, that was the real payoff of the whole stunt. The disappearance was crucial for the ongoing story. Rescue teams, spurred on by global media attention, searched for weeks, found nothing.
Right.
Eventually, the search was called off. And this disappearance, whether it was deliberate or just conveniently timed, ensured maximum public speculation, massive media coverage. It kept the Mr. Pig brand right in the headlines for months, even with no new videos coming out.
It's the ultimate extended content play.
Exactly. Turn a potential PR disaster, or even a rescue mission, into a months-long media circus that builds anticipation for your return.
The ultimate hiatus. Manufactured through danger, or at least the appearance of danger, guaranteeing global attention for the eventual, inevitable comeback. And comeback he did. Months later, Mr. Pig just suddenly reappears, emerges from the jungle, supposedly, and he's got this very specific defining feature.
The beard.
The beard. A dramatically long beard. Sources say it was several feet long. And he immediately cashed in on all the mystery his disappearance had created.
Oh, zero time wasted. He instantly uploaded the video that basically defined his return and, became maybe his biggest viral hit ever.
I was adopted by a clan of gorillas for 3 months. Full documentary.
I mean, the title alone.
Right.
The narrative was perfectly crafted to capitalize on all that hype from him being missing. He claimed these gorillas had found him, taken him in, helped him survive, protected him in the jungle on St. Luke Island for 3 whole months.
It's a classic survival story, isn't it? Primal, but inflated to these impossible, almost mythical levels. Totally. But this is where, we have to put on our critical thinking caps, right? We shift from just analyzing the content formula to actually questioning if any of it is true, which as an informed audience, you have to do.
Absolutely. And the sources immediately ask the crucial question, okay, what actual evidence contradicts this dramatic survival story? And the answers are, well, they're pretty damning.
Yes, spoiler alert. The deeper you look at the sources on this one, the less believable that whole gorilla saga becomes. Like, significantly less believable.
The first red flag, the most obvious one that critics jumped on, was his appearance, specifically that beard.
A multi-foot-long beard.
Right. This thing's supposedly grown during 3 months of brutal jungle survival. It was just clearly fake. Observers pointed out immediately it looked like a high-quality prop, but definitely a prop.
So if your whole survival story hinges on your appearance, maybe don't use a fake beard.
You'd think. It's a massive oversight if you're aiming for authenticity. It undermines the whole narrative right from the start.
Okay, so the beard's fake. But that was just the start of the problems with the story, right?
Yeah.
Suggesting the whole thing was basically staged.
Yeah, then you get to the geographic problems. Mr. Pig claimed he was adopted by gorillas while lost on St. Mook Island. Okay, problem.
Let me guess.
Gorillas aren't native to St. Mook Island at all.
Minor details.
Zoologists, critics, anyone who did a quick search pointed this out immediately. The entire premise rests on a basic, easily verifiable factual error about animal geography.
So that suggests a level of fabrication where the story is just way more important than any kind of grounding in reality.
Completely. The audience is just expected to go along with it because, hey, gorillas, exciting. Never mind that they don't live there.
Okay, fake beard, wrong location for gorillas. What about the actual apes in the documentary? Were they even real?
Well, the visual evidence seems to be the final nail in the coffin for the narrative's credibility. The gorillas shown in the documentary, which was shot in high def, were pretty quickly identified by visual effects experts as being a mix of things, some sophisticated CGI, and some incredibly lifelike, but still clearly animatronic props.
Robotic gorillas.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
So all of this together strongly suggests the whole thing, the escape from the mob, the month lost in the jungle, the gorilla adoption. It was just a very long, very expensive prank.
A piece of manufactured mythology.
Exactly. Designed purely to generate maximum content, maximum buzz for his big comeback.
But wait, there's one more piece, isn't there? The local testimony, which kind of blows the whole jungle survival thing completely out of the water.
Ah, yes. This is crucial. Details started coming out from actual witnesses on St. Mook Island, and their accounts were, let's say, very different from Mr. Pig's heroic survival tale.
What did they say?
They basically said he hadn't been roughing it in the jungle with primates at all, quite the opposite. They claimed he'd actually been staying at a local, very high-end luxury resort.
Yes, accompanied by a large entourage. The testimony described him enjoying, top-tier amenities. And being seen with, the sources reported it as an entourage of attractive individuals in beachwear.
So the guy supposedly surviving on bugs and bonding with gorillas was actually ordering room service and lounging by the infinity pool at the St. Mook Hilton.
That's the picture the sources paint.
All while waiting for the fake beard delivery.
It seems the expense for this documentary wasn't spent on realism. It was spent on maintaining a very comfortable lifestyle for the creator while he plotted his dramatic return. The time he was missing was really just extended pre-production time in luxury.
Wow.
Okay.
So what does this whole saga, the mob attack that might have been staged, the disappearance, the fake gorillas, the five-star resort state, what does it all tell us about this hype challenge genre?
Well, it seems that even with overwhelming evidence of fakery, the beard, the robot gorillas in the wrong place, the resort witnesses Mr. Pig's disappearance and reappearance still became his biggest viral hit.
Right. It worked. It absolutely worked, and that demonstrates the core principle here, doesn't it? The sheer power of manufactured drama backed by huge spending completely overrides any need for factual accuracy or even basic plausibility.
As long as the audience is entertained by how big the lie is.
Exactly. As long as they're engaged by the magnitude of the performance, the actual truth just becomes irrelevant, an afterthought.
It's suspension of disbelief, but subsidized by a billionaire's budget.
Yeah.
And the audience buys in because the crazy story is just more fun, more entertaining than the boring truth of him chilling at a resort. #tag outro. Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive, I think, has really shown that Mr. Pig's success isn't accidental. It's a masterclass in construction, a carefully built enterprise. It relies heavily on that extreme, exaggerated scale we talked about, that relentless, almost frantic editing style designed to hook you in, the incredibly weird but effective piggy dynamic, for instant conflict. And maybe most disturbingly, that cold-blooded strategy of converting absolutely everything, even charity, even his own staged disappearance, into high-octane, perfectly optimized content spectacle.
Yeah, we've definitely seen how the formula demands impossible exaggeration at every turn, whether it's claiming 20 billion subscribers, which is just nuts,
Right.
or filming a guerrilla survival documentary from a luxury suite. Believability just seems totally secondary to how big the performance is.
The content has to be engineered for clicks, for shares, above all else, even if that means making up zoology facts or starting fights with an imaginary wife.
And the budget, the money, it's just the tool they use to make the sheer absurdity seem, well, expensive enough to be compelling.
Right. Expensive enough to maybe seem real in a world full of cheap fakes. The money acts like this veneer of credibility for totally impossible stunts.
Exactly. And, that brings us to the final thought, the provocative question that kind of sits underneath this whole phenomenon. We've highlighted that in this hype challenge world, the budget, the truth, they're way less important than just going viral. If the spectacle demands faking gorilla adoption from a 5-star hotel for 2 months,
You do it.
you do it because the return on investment for a huge dramatic lie is way higher than for a boring truth. So the question for you, listening, becomes this. How do you actually tell the difference? How do you discern between extreme wealth being used for something real and extreme wealth being used for extreme, cynical fabrication? When the creator's only goal is virality, and the only proof you ever see is the slick, dramatic video they produce about the event. What does it mean when we, as the audience, kind of willfully choose to engage with the lie? Maybe because it's just more exciting, more valuable as entertainment than the reality it's pretending to show.
That is, yeah. A fascinating, maybe slightly uncomfortable thought to chew on next time one of those crazy headlines grabs your attention. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.